Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So today I'm doing what we call recanning. So basically I buy products in larger sizes, which obviously is too much to use for a family in one go, and you'd end up losing it before you'd actually finish the pot. So instead of letting the second half of it go to waste, I'm going to recan it into smaller jars. Now, you've seen me do this before on other videos. Last year I recanned fruit cocktail and a number of different fruits. So from last year, still sitting on my pantry shelf, this is apple slices done in July 21. Still in great condition, still ready for eating. Apricots I did at the same date, fabulous. And tangerines. So they all came in a catering size tin, and I broke them down, put them in those separate jars, canned to vacuum seal them, and I stored on the pantry shelf. My son ate a fair few of them. He ate all the fruit cocktail, and there's literally just a couple left, so I will use them in desserts, baking cakes with, etc. So today the two I've chosen to recan. The first one is some nice English mustard, so I'm going to put them in proper portion size jars that my family can eat before we waste the bottom of it, and the rest will go on the pantry shelf to last us throughout the rest of the year. And the second one is sweet and sour sauce, and again I'm going to put them in what they'd normally come in the jars, and recan them in proper portion size jars that we would use. So because mustard can stain, I'm literally going to throw this tea towel to protect this nice jumper. I'll just throw that across the front and pull my sleeves up. So I've taken the lid off just before we started, and what I'll do is literally fill the jars up. I'll always make a mess, but I can wipe that afterwards when they're full. So I'll just take my time and I'll go through filling these jars up in the correct portion size. So I know not many people in the UK have canning machines now. There are more and more of us that are doing it, but things like this don't always have to have the specific machinery. When you're recanning, you can actually do what's called water bathing, and you don't actually have to have a canning machine for that. So just let me finish this one and I'll show you what I mean. So basically, I always leave an inch from the top. So basically, you can take a pan like this or a bigger size. You can lay a tea towel on the bottom, because when you're putting jars in a water bather or a canner, you don't want the glass jars sitting on the bottom of the pan or the canner. So basically you sit a tea towel on there, you'll fill the water level up. Once you've lidded it and cleaned it, you'll put your jars in, and then your water literally has to be an inch above, and you can bring that to the boil for about 10 minutes. Put a lid on it, bring it to the boil for about 10 minutes, and then stand back and wait, turn the heat off, stand back and wait for about 20 minutes just so the steam dissipates, and then you can reach in and you can take the jars out, and they will be perfectly vacuum sealed, being brought to a temperature that's viable, it won't grow any bacteria, and that's called water bathing. That's plain and simple enough. Anyone can do it with a pan, as long as you've got the lid that can go on and close it in. That's fine for water bathing. But in this case I'm going to do them in my canner on I'd probably say a 60 temperature. Again, for only about 10 minutes, bring it to the boil. I'll leave it for 20 minutes and let the steam go off. So I'm just going to continue filling these jars and then I'll show you putting them in the canner. So we're at the stage now where I've filled all the jars, but the next thing you do is you take a knife, a lolly ice stick, a stick of any kind, and you debubble. So I don't know if the camera's actually picking up, there's a little bubble in the jar, so you have to debubble all those, otherwise they could actually capture bacteria into your food because there's air trapped. So basically you go down and you go around the whole of the jar looking for any little air bubbles, and it's called debubbling. But you don't have to go out and buy a fancy contraption, although they sell them. All you need to do is to take a plastic knife, a lolly ice stick, a chopstick, anything of those kinds, and debubble it. Then the next stage is to wipe your rims, because you still don't want that food trapping in the lid. By this stage you've already checked that the rubber seal's intact, and you place your lid finger tight on top there. Now at this point I do have to do a little disclaimer. There are lots of different ways of canning. There are different books that you can buy. Americans call it the USD, and that's a specific procedure that they're told to follow. I don't like sticking to the rules, as some of you might have already gathered. There are on Facebook, on YouTube, rebel canners, and they're all based in America. And basically I go that one step further. I can in recycled jars, so I can't afford all the American style jars, the mason jars, the ball jars, so I reuse whatever jars are available. I've told you before, people actually collect them and give me them once they've finished using them, and I try and look for the jars that are most suitable. So this is a condiment, and I feel they're more like condiment jars. This is a sweet and sour sauce, so I've used those types of jars, so it's portion size and more appropriate to the food that I'm trying to store. So as I say, this is a disclaimer that I use recycled jars, but the main procedure of canning or water bathing is if the product that you're actually water canning is hot because you've just cooked it or you've just heated it, then the jars have to be heated either in the oven, in the dishwasher, in the canning machine before you start, and the lids. So therefore your jars are hot, your lids are hot, your product's hot, and the water in your canning is hot, and you bring them all up to the same temperature when you're doing it. This process I'm using here now, the jars are cold, the product's cold, the lid's cold, and the water in the canner will be cold. So, and then again they all come up to the same temperature again. So I'm now about to place all of these in the canning machine. So the same process when I said about water bathing, there has to be something on the bottom, and in this case there's a little metal tray, and I just sit them all on there. So basically I'm going to pop all the jars in, and because of the type of canner I have, I can actually sit them on top of each other if I run out of space. And I can fit quite a few in all at the same time. I wouldn't be able to do that with the small pan that I showed you earlier to water bath. So the quickest and easiest process for me is to get them all in the canner. And just one more. Now what I'll do is I'll fill the canner up to about here. I'll add some vinegar just to keep the sparkle and make sure there's no bacteria in the water. And then I'm actually going to process them on the canner settings for 10 minutes on 60 degrees. I'm not actually going to put it on now because there's not enough water in it. And then I'll come back and show you the final product. You can actually use the containers to fill it up. I just need to go an inch above the jars and then we're all set. I've just literally dropped a jar off the back, so if you see any broken glass I'll clean it up in a minute. The white vinegar. On with the lid and then down to the setting. So I'm going to take the setting down to 60. I'm just literally going to put it on for 10 minutes. Now that takes a while for it to come up to the 60 Celsius temperature. Once it does, then it'll start the 10-minute process. I'll leave it for 20 minutes to cool down and then I'll come back to you then and show you what the final product looks like. So there we have it. So we managed 6 of the sweet and sour, portion sized. And what did we get? 3, 5, 8, 10 of the mustard. So the mustard will do us for a whole year. The sweet and sour will last a while. So more than happy with that. I'll leave them on there overnight now to cool down. And tomorrow when they're ready they'll go on the pantry shelf. So nice little recanning session. What I wanted to say as well is the plastic jug doesn't get wasted either. So actually either store rice, pasta, anything dried that needs a container to go in. And if so, I can always add an absorber if it needs it, but it's actually food grade because your food's come in it, you've bought it in food already in it, so you could actually put liquid in there, you could actually put anything in, so you know that's a good little storage jar as well. So I hope you like what you've seen. As I say, you can water bath in a pan. Give it a try, save yourself some money this year and get your pantry stocked. Okay, thanks for joining us today. I'll see you soon. Bye.